Devilman Crybaby is not an amazing show. But it's not a bad show either. As one who watches these Chinese cartoons regularly, I couldn't avoid the hype surrounding this new show produced by Netflix. Normally they do nothing but bad things, like licensing a show from July 2017 and releasing it in February 2018, or taking one of the highest regarded thrillers in all of anime and turning it into a gory flick. When a company like that suddenly does something that isn't basically a direct insult to fans of anime, it's regarded as a miracle, and I do agree that this is a step in the right direction, along with Netflix finally simulcasting an anime for the first time this season. But where I disagree is the quality of the product we were provided. Devilman Crybaby took not only the anime community but also the rest of the world by storm, with all Anitubers doing their own video on it, and even PewDiePie doing a review. Things everyone mentions are the sublime soundtrack and the unique and bold animation. Okay, so the animation has 3 modes, it looks great, good, or ridiculous. And one of the songs was used in every fight, so despite being awesome, it got annoying faster than you can say. That's not my biggest issue with the show. The one thing you don't hear about as much is the characters, and even if they're mentioned, it's quite short compared to the rest. That is because it's by far the weakest aspect of the show, and where it falls flat quite hard. There, I said it. Devilman's characters are shit. Almost every single one of them is one-dimensional and gets little to no development during the entire show. With the exception of Miko, she's the only one that gets any development at all. For the rest of the cast, you could replace the dialogue with fart noises and you would have the same result at the end of the story. The direction also goes up and down in terms of quality. Sometimes I was really engaged because of the unique directing, and sometimes it leaves a lot to be desired. And I think Netflix had a bit to do with this as well, since every episode ends on a cliffhanger and it has a Netflix standard 10 episodes instead of the anime standard 12 or 24, which makes it bingeable, yes, but not long enough. One standout moment was a short sequence of shots that was repeated so many times it lost any semblance of meaning I thought it had. That of course also brings into question the story itself, and despite the lack of character depth, it was okay-ish. It's a step up from your generic high school romance, harem, comedy, drama, action anime, with the optional, if basically obligatory ecchi fanservice that airs every f***ing season, but not by much. In fact, I've seen a few of those that have better characters and or story than this. Devilman doesn't have a unique concept with its fight evil with evil thing, but the execution is a bit different than the usual, with a tons of gore and sex. This isn't an inherently bad thing, it's just that the way it's done makes me think it will be an excuse for fans to use when the rest of the show is called into question. Like, wow, you couldn't handle all the sex and violence, so you're calling it bad? Those kinds of arguments. But I think I might be overthinking this. But after being desensitized to death and violence by watching so many background and side characters die in gruesome ways, I couldn't care when the secondary and main characters started doing the same. And believe me, I tried caring. But maybe I shouldn't be too harsh on it when it's based off a manga that's more than twice as old as me, with elements that are done to death so much nowadays, they decided to spice things up by doing the same to the characters. But I also don't want to let it get away with having a character-driven story with such badly written characters, just because it's based on old material. They could have changed that for the better. Even though I'm usually against changes to the source material, it could have helped it in this case. Now, I have to admit I got bamboozled too. The show tricked me into thinking I liked it, and while watching the second to last episode, I suddenly thought something similar to, hey, wait a second. Even though all these characters are dying, I don't care about any of them. I suddenly remembered that I was supposed to care about all the violence and death happening on screen. Another confession I have to make is that I haven't read the manga, but the symbolism and meaning of the show is just so superficial and shallow compared to the anime and manga it inspired. Berserk and Evangelion are the most complex and or weird pieces of media you'll ever experience, but this is just... War is bad, and don't judge a demon by its cover.
There's one awful who wants to kill everybody, so now they're coming after all of us. This is like a witch thingy.
It's like a witch pursuit thingy.
A witch,
It's a witch chase and shoot 'em up.
yeah, that's what it is.
I feel like the show was made for people who don't watch anime to get them to watch anime. It's a small showcase of what it can be for people who dismiss it as stuff for kids or weirdos. But as someone who actually watches anime, this show just pales in comparison to the real good anime. I'll even give you some examples in this segment I'll call Recommendation Corner. Did you like the fighting demons in gruesome ways thing? Berserk is the one for you. Just don't watch the 2016 and 2017 versions. Those were made by demons that feed off the tears of fans of the manga and people that like stuff that's not complete trash. Did you like the demons possessing humans plot points specifically? Parasite is about aliens that possess humans and is also based off an old manga, but this one's actually good. Like the weird religious stuff? Neon Genesis Evangelion was inspired by Devilman and it's basically the anime Bible. And people still haven't stopped trying to figure out what the f*** it all meant. Did you enjoy the whole man versus monster but who's the real monster thing? Shiki and Shinsekai Yori both offer this in slightly different but equally fascinating ways. Big fan of the violence and gore? Elfen Lied is infamous for its first 5 minutes, and Akame ga Kill for its last 5 episodes, but both are also pretty good and gory. Like the weird animation? Kaiba is made by the same director as this show, so it has a very similar animation style, but it's so much weirder and deeper. Did you like the soundtrack like everyone else? The movie Redline has a similarly pulse-pounding electro soundtrack. Also, these games, Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number, and Fury, have amazing soundtracks similar to this one, and lots of violence. But that's video games, not anime. Never mind. Did you only watch it because it was a short 10-episode show? Konosuba's first and second season both have 10 episodes and were the funniest shows in the years they came out. More a fan of the sexy stuff from the first half of the show? Most anime feature this and it's referred to as fan service, but I recommend the Monogatari series because it offers risque shots of the entire female cast while still having a deeper meaning than Devilman in every single arc. Yes, even the one where the main character erotically brushes his sister's teeth. But at the end of the day, Devilman Crybaby is still an alright anime that's easy to show to someone who isn't a fan of anime. And I can do nothing but praise it for that, especially after everything Netflix and Hollywood have done to anime in the past. Just keep in mind that there's a lot more anime out there. Just go to myanimelist.net's top anime list and you'll find Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Your Name, Steins Gate, and Hunter x Hunter. Some of the best anime ever. Okay, maybe Your Name is a bit overrated, but holy shit, so many Gintama entries. How is this even allowed?